Hey, cool cats and kittens. It's Shad with Vinyl New Wave. Hope you're doing well in this stay home, stay safe campaign. I can't really call it a quarantine because it's not quarantine if you're not sick. I want to talk today a little bit about the record store day that wasn't. My Saturday morning, we haven't left the house, and other than to go to the grocery store, we haven't left the house really in weeks. My wife literally hasn't left the house in like 3 or 4 weeks. She went with me on Thursday night finally to go get some things for our twins. It was their birthday on last Friday, so we went and got them a couple gifts for their birthday. But Saturday morning, I got up and I really needed to do some yard work. The lawn had gotten to like this long in a few spots in the backyard and stuff, and it was just looking really ragged in the front. So I talked one of my twins, Becca, into helping me out in the yard. She went out and cleaned up after the dogs so I could get the lawn mowed and everything. And I promised her that I would take her to the record store if she helped me out. So after we got everything mowed, got back in got cleaned up, we went to the record store. Since record store day had been delayed until June, I was kind of bummed because I look forward to the record store day every year. There's usually a few releases that I want that day, and so I was a little bummed that things didn't pan out and we couldn't, they weren't going to have it. But they started this kind of campaign over the last week or two of, I think they're calling it fill the gap, like still order a record or something from your record store on Saturday. So I decided it was a perfect opportunity to take advantage of that and help her, take her to go get a record and help out our local record store. So I decided to go up to Randy's Records, which is downtown Salt Lake. For some reason, I haven't been up to Randy's. I only get up there once or twice a year. I don't get up there very often because it's just out of the way, and it's out that way, and there's other record stores closer. But I decided to go up to Randy's because I know that Randy's, one of the prime things that I wanted to pick up, was a stylus cleaner, and I know that Graywell didn't have any. Randy's actually carries a lot of different, also turntables and sound equipment and styluses and stuff that Graywell just doesn't, or the other store that we normally go to just doesn't. So I ended up with a Zero Dust. I'm curious about everybody's experiences with the Zero Dust. I've got a really nice Shure M95E, I think is the model, cartridge and needle. But man, it's dirty, and I've tried the brush and stuff, and it just doesn't great. So I wanted to get a stylus cleaner. So I picked up the Zero Dust. So I'm curious what your experiences are with it. I haven't had a chance to open it yet. I'll do that later today. So browsing at Randy's, I was going to buy my daughter a record, and I thought, well, if I find one or two things that I want, then I'll pick them up. And sure enough, as usual, I found a lot more than one or two things that I wanted. I left most of them on the shelf, but I did pick up a few things. So first thing that I picked up was New Shoes, the album Poolside. This is the one with I Can't Wait. But baby, I can't wait. I'm pretty excited about that one. I don't recognize the titles of any of the other songs, but I'm sure that I'll recognize the songs once I get listening to it later today. But I was kind of excited to put that one up. Next up is a kind of a synth pop band called Our Daughter's Wedding. The name of the album is Moving Windows. To be honest, I don't remember most of these song titles, but I'm familiar with the band. They've got they've had a whole bunch of songs that were on like the DJ remix services and stuff that I do. So when I saw this, I was like, I gotta pick that up, and it was nice and cheap anyway. So kind of excited to see that. Our Daughter's Wedding. Next up is a band called ACT. Laughter, Tears, and Rage is the name of the album. This is Claudia Brucken, who was in Propaganda, and a couple other folks. Really great, kind of a more high concept album. They do some really great stuff on here. Yeah, I was excited to pick this one up. I've had it on vinyl forever, or on CD forever, but never had it on vinyl. So hooray for that. Next up is Claudia Brucken again in Propaganda. This is the album Wishful Thinking, which is, I believe, mostly remixes and rearrangements of songs from A Secret Wish. But yeah, Propaganda. And then next up is an album by an artist named Ofra Haza. The album is called Shadeh. Ofra Haza is an Israeli artist. She's kind of like a pop artist in Israel, apparently pretty popular there, but this album made it all the way over here to the States. You know, I mean, a lot of these songs are in Hebrew, I think. I want to say Hebrew. This album is very dance oriented. I was aware, I knew who Ofra Haza was because they'd done a bunch of her songs on, several of her songs on the DJ remix services like Razor Maids. And then also some of her songs were on those Sire Winter Sampler CDs. I don't know if you're familiar with those, the Just Say Yes, Just Say Yo, and etc. They've had some of her songs on those. So I was familiar with her from those. I've always wanted her album, but I just never found it, either on CD or this, but they had a copy, so I picked it up. So I'm excited to listen to this one later today. But she's on Sire Records, so you can see she's, you know, Sire. Great album if you ever get the chance, if you're into that kind of Middle Eastern sound with a good dance beat underneath it. Ofra Haza is your ticket. And then finally at Randy's, I picked up Nitzer Ebb's Ebhead. This is a reissue. This is the only newer item that I picked up at Randy's. When Nitzer Ebb released a whole bunch of reissue, they did a big box set of all their albums a couple years ago, or a year and a half ago, and they and the record label Pylon Records that did it withheld a bunch of the records from the pressing out and sold them individually, like only 100 sets, 100 of each album they withheld from the from that box set for individual sale. I got their first two albums, or first three albums, sorry. Yeah, their first three albums last year on Record Store Day, but this was the fourth album, and I wanted this one. There's a Nitzer Ebb had a couple other albums after this one, but really this is kind of the end of it for me. After that, I wasn't really into Nitzer Ebb, so I picked that one up because I've been wanting that one. As we were finishing up at Randy's, it was like 5 o'clock. My daughter said, well, can we still go to Graywell? I said, well, okay, yeah, sure. We got to hurry, though, because they close at 6, because for some reason everything's closing at 6 these days. So we Gray Whale has several locations, and the one that we normally go to is kind of out by my work, but we just didn't have time to get there. So I said, well, we'll stop at the other one in Taylorsville, which is closer to the freeway. It's easier to get to, and you know, it's right there by my house where I grew up, by my parents' old house. So we drove there, and I'm glad we did, because I found some really good gems there. Let's start out here. I don't want to say this is a grail, because I really hate using the word grail, but this is a really hard record to find. It's a band that formed here in Utah and started gaining some traction. I saw them I've seen them live several times as they started to ramp up in popularity, in a room as small as 100 people, all the way up to when they opened for Duran Duran in Las Vegas a few years later. The band is Neon Trees. This is their debut album, Habits. Really, in my opinion, one of the strongest debut albums in quite a long time, since The Killers' Hot Fuss for sure. But yeah, I mean, this is just a great album. Sins of My Youth, Animal is the big hit of theirs. 1983 is a great song. Yeah, I mean, it's a really great album. I was really excited to see it. I was really happy for these guys. They're all really nice. I've had the chance to chat with Tyler for a few minutes, and their drummer Elaine is really cool. So yeah, I mean, great debut album, but very hard to find on vinyl, and they haven't reissued it yet. I imagine they probably will. And along with that, I also picked up their second album, which is Picture Show. So I was excited to pick this one up on vinyl. I said I have both of these on CD, and I've had them for a long time, so I'm really excited to put those finally on vinyl. And then they had a trio of Killing Joke albums sitting there, and I wanted to get all three of them, but I was already racking up the bill, so I decided to only get one. And I got this one, which is the Nighttime album with 80s on it, because that's a classic Killing Joke tune that I did not have before. And finally, I saw this sitting in the 50% off bin, and I was like, well, I debated on it for probably 15-20 minutes before I finally just picked it up. It is the box set of Depeche Mode's A Broken Frame 12-inch singles. I've been hesitant to buy any of these Depeche Mode 12-inch single box sets that have been coming out over the last year, because quite frankly, I already own most of the 12 inches. My Depeche Mode section is thick. I have a lot of Depeche Mode records, and a lot of them are 12-inch singles. But kind of a big glaring gaping hole in my 12-inch single, my Depeche Mode 12-inch single collection is in this time frame. I don't have See You, I don't have Meaning of Love, I don't have Leave in Silence. So here they all were, and they were half off. So instead of 60, it was 30, which was a lot more palpable. It was in the 50% off bin because the shrink wrap's all twanged up, the hype stickers messed up. But the box itself is actually still in really good shape. The records are still sealed in there and perfect. So $30, why not? So that was the record store day that wasn't. I ended up spending almost as much as I would have on a record store day, which is cool. You know, I got to go out, spend some time with my daughter, and, you know, support my local record stores through this rough time. I hope some of you did too, or at least ordered something from a local record store online. But yeah, I mean, we're going to get through this. It's going to be fun. It'll be, you know, I'm sure we're probably going to have another 3 weeks of stay at home. And then after that, it's going to be still going to be a very different world for probably a long time. So I hope everyone's doing well. Hope everyone's staying healthy. Oh, look, I got my David Bowie shoes on today. These were Vans that Vans did a limited edition Bowie thing last year, was it? I think. Yeah. They did a limited edition like series of shoes and stuff, and they sold out in one day, and I got online that day because I really wanted these shoes. So I bought them, and I wear them like, I rarely wear them. I don't wear them outside very often because I don't want to ruin them. They're cool shoes. Anyways, thanks for watching. If you like this video, please like, thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. And until next time, take care of yourself, stay healthy, and remember, you spin me around like a record, baby.